Right now, as you watch this, your blood contains a protein that is actively building the material that will one day block your arteries completely. Not cholesterol, not fat, a protein, one your own body produces, one your body is producing right now, today, in amounts it was never designed to handle. It is called fibrin. And unless you understand what it is doing inside your blood vessels at this exact moment, nothing else you do for your heart will matter. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fix the wrong thing. They lower their cholesterol, they cut saturated fat, they take statins, and their arteries keep hardening, their plaques keep growing, because they were never told about fibrin. They were never told that the plaque-killing people is not grease in a pipe. It is not something you can dissolve with a supplement or flush out with water. It is a complex protein-bound calcified mass of cellular debris that is growing inside the wall of your artery right now, and the system your body uses to clean it up is failing. That system has a name. Most doctors never mention it. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why it is failing, what that failure is doing to your arteries in real time, and the 3 specific compounds that reactivate it at a biological level. But first, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your arterial wall, because until you see this clearly, nothing else makes sense. Your artery is not a simple pipe. It has layers. The innermost layer, the one in contact with your blood, is called the endothelium. Behind that layer is where the plaque lives, not in the channel where blood flows, inside the wall itself, hidden, growing silently. And it is not just fat sitting there. It is oxidized LDL particles, dead immune cells, foam cells that came to clean things up and got trapped, calcium deposits, and holding all of it together, binding it into a solid mass. That is fibrin. Fibrin is a clotting protein. Your body produces it to seal wounds. Every time you bleed, fibrin forms a mesh that stops the bleeding. That is its job. That is what it was designed to do, and it is essential. Without fibrin, you would bleed to death from a paper cut. The problem is this: your body is not only producing fibrin at wound sites, it is producing it continuously throughout your bloodstream. In response to inflammation, in response to oxidative stress, in response to high blood sugar, in response to the modern lifestyle that your biology was never designed to handle. And the system that is supposed to break that fibrin down, the fibrinolytic system, is losing the battle. Here is what that means inside your body right now. Every day, fibrin deposits are forming on the inner surfaces of your arterial walls. Under normal conditions, an enzyme called plasmin dissolves those deposits before they can accumulate. Plasmin is your body's built-in arterial cleaning agent. It is the only thing standing between you and progressive plaque buildup. And after the age of 40, plasmin activity begins to decline measurably every single year. The cleanup crew is getting smaller. The deposits are getting larger, and the balance that kept your arteries clean for the first 4 decades of your life is broken. A study published in the journal Thrombosis and Hemostasis tracked fibrinogen levels. Fibrinogen is the precursor protein your body converts into fibrin. They followed 3,000 adults over 10 years. Their finding was direct. Individuals with elevated fibrinogen had a 312% greater risk of fatal cardiovascular events than those with normal levels. Not modestly higher, 312%. And elevated fibrinogen is not rare. It is present in the majority of adults over 50 in the United States, most of whom have never had it tested. Your doctor did not test your fibrinogen at your last checkup. Your annual blood work does not include it. Your cholesterol panel tells you nothing about it. Right now, fibrin may be accumulating inside your arterial walls and you have no idea because you were never given the test that would show it. And the reason this is so dangerous is what fibrin does to plaque stability. Soft plaque, the kind that causes heart attacks, is unstable not because of its size, but because of its composition. When fibrin binds to lipid deposits and cellular debris inside the arterial wall, it creates a structure that can rupture under pressure. When that rupture happens, your body responds the same way it responds to any wound. It sends more fibrin to seal the tear. The clot forms at the rupture site. If that clot is large enough to occlude the artery, the tissue downstream dies instantly. That is a heart attack. That is a stroke. That is what happens when fibrin builds faster than your body can clear it. And it happens in people with no prior symptoms, no warning, and no idea it was coming. You have tried to protect yourself. I know you have. You lowered your LDL. Your doctor told you that was the primary driver of cardiovascular disease. But LDL is not the problem. Oxidized LDL is. And LDL only oxidizes in an inflammatory environment. If your fibrinogen is high, your inflammatory environment is exactly the kind that oxidizes LDL particles and drives them into the arterial wall. Lowering your LDL number does nothing to lower your fibrinogen, nothing to reduce the fibrin accumulating inside your plaque, nothing to reactivate the plasmin system that is failing to clean it up. You take a statin. High-dose statins reduce LDL aggressively. Some have modest anti-inflammatory effects, but not a single statin increases plasmin activity. Not one improves fibrinolytic capacity. Not one breaks down the fibrin already embedded in your existing plaque. The plaque that is already there continues to grow, continues to harden, continues to build the fibrin scaffold that holds it together, while your LDL number looks better on paper. You eat a heart-healthy diet, you cut saturated fat, you eat whole grains, but whole grains spike your blood sugar. Repeated blood sugar spikes above 140 milligrams per deciliter trigger systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation elevates fibrinogen production. Every time your blood sugar crosses that threshold, your body produces more of the clotting protein that is building your plaque. The diet that was supposed to protect your arteries was feeding the exact mechanism destroying them. None of these interventions touch fibrin. None of them reactivate the system your body uses to dissolve it. That is why the plaque kept building while you thought you were doing everything right. The first mechanism, nattokinase, the only compound proven to directly dissolve fibrin in human blood. Without addressing fibrin breakdown directly, every other intervention you make is incomplete. The fibrin scaffold inside your plaque is what makes it dangerous. It is what holds the oxidized LDL and calcium deposits together. Dissolve the fibrin, and the structural integrity of soft plaque begins to collapse. The body can begin to reabsorb it. Without dissolving the fibrin, the plaque remains intact, regardless of what else you do. Nattokinase is an enzyme produced during the fermentation of soybeans. It is fibrinolytic, meaning it directly cleaves fibrin molecules, breaking the protein bonds that hold plaque material together. It also reduces fibrinogen levels in circulating blood, which means less raw material available to form new deposits. And it reduces blood viscosity, the thickness of your blood, which is itself an independent risk factor for thrombosis. A 2017 randomized controlled trial published in Scientific Reports followed 76 patients with existing carotid artery plaque over 26 weeks. The group receiving nattokinase showed a 36.6% reduction in carotid plaque size compared to baseline. The control group showed continued plaque progression. The nattokinase group also showed significant reductions in both LDL and fibrinogen levels, independent of dietary changes. This was plaque regression, measurable, documented, imaging-confirmed plaque regression from a single fibrinolytic enzyme. The practical protocol. 2,000 FU, fibrinolytic units, of nattokinase daily. It must be taken on an empty stomach. If taken with food, your stomach acid and digestive enzymes break it down before it reaches the bloodstream. 2 hours after your last meal, or 30 minutes before eating. This is not optional. Timing determines whether it works at all. The second mechanism, Serrapeptase, the enzyme that clears the cellular debris your immune system left behind. Without clearing the dead immune cells and foam cell debris embedded in your plaque, the inflammatory environment inside the arterial wall persists. Ongoing inflammation inside the plaque is what drives it from stable to unstable. A plaque that is inflamed is a plaque that is at risk of rupture. You cannot stabilize a plaque while the inflammation generating it continues unchecked inside the wall itself. Serrapeptase is a proteolytic enzyme. It breaks down non-living protein tissue. It was originally isolated from the intestine of the silkworm, where it dissolves the silk cocoon. In human biology, it performs a similar function. It breaks down dead tissue, scar material, and cellular debris without touching living cells. Inside arterial plaque, this means it targets the dead foam cells and immune cell remnants that are driving the ongoing inflammatory response within the plaque structure itself. A study in the journal Drugs Under Experimental and Clinical Research demonstrated that serrapeptase significantly reduced tissue inflammation markers and accelerated the breakdown of non-viable protein structures in vascular tissue. It works synergistically with nattokinase. Nattokinase cleaves the fibrin scaffold, while serrapeptase clears the debris the fibrin was holding in place. Together, they address two separate components of the same plaque structure. The practical protocol: 40,000 to 120,000 SPU serrapeptase units daily, also on an empty stomach, taken at the same time as nattokinase. Start at the lower dose and increase over 4 weeks. Some individuals experience detox responses as debris begins to break down. Mild fatigue, temporary joint discomfort. These are signs the enzyme is working. They pass within 2 weeks. The third mechanism, Lumbrokinase, the most potent fibrinolytic compound known, and the one almost no one in the Western world is talking about. Without the most powerful fibrinolytic tool available, the rate of fibrin breakdown cannot keep pace with the rate of fibrin production in a high inflammation system. Nattokinase and serrapeptase are powerful, but for individuals with high fibrinogen levels, significant existing plaque, or a history of cardiovascular events, they may not be sufficient alone. Lumbrokinase is derived from earthworms. It has been used in cardiovascular medicine in Asia for decades. It is a complex of 6 distinct fibrinolytic enzymes that attack fibrin through multiple pathways simultaneously, not just cleaving the fibrin molecule at one site, breaking it down through several different mechanisms at once. It is currently the most potent natural fibrinolytic agent that has been studied in human clinical trials. A study published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine examined lumbrokinase in patients with ischemic stroke, a condition caused by fibrin-rich clots blocking cerebral arteries. Lumbrokinase produced significant reductions in fibrinogen, whole blood viscosity, and plasma viscosity within 4 weeks. Neurological recovery scores improved measurably compared to control groups receiving standard treatment. The fibrinolytic potency documented was greater than that of either nattokinase or serrapeptase used alone. The practical protocol: 20 to 40 milligrams of lumbrokinase daily, again on an empty stomach. It is less widely available than nattokinase or serrapeptase and must be sourced from reputable suppliers who provide third-party testing. It is the last enzyme added to the protocol, not because it is less important, but because it is the most potent and requires the inflammatory lifestyle changes to already be in place before it can work effectively. I want to tell you about a patient, 64 years old. He had been taking a statin for 11 years. His LDL was low, his cardiologist was satisfied, he felt fine. He came to me after a routine CIMT scan, a carotid intima media thickness test, that showed significant plaque progression in both carotid arteries. His fibrinogen level, which had never been tested by his cardiologist, came back at 487 milligrams per deciliter. The normal range is 200 to 400. He had been running with a fibrinogen level above the danger threshold for years, possibly for the entire 11 years he had been on the statin. And no one had ever checked it. He was not unlucky, he was untested. He was doing everything his doctor told him to do, and the one protein that was actively building the plaque in his arterial walls had never once appeared on any of his blood work. That is not an unusual story. That is the standard story. And it may be yours. You make progress, then you undo it. Ibuprofen and NSAIDs taken regularly, they suppress inflammation acutely. But chronic NSAID use impairs gut barrier integrity, increases intestinal permeability, and drives systemic low-grade inflammation through LPS, lipopolysaccharide, leakage from the gut into the bloodstream. LPS is one of the most potent fibrinogen elevators known. You are suppressing surface inflammation while feeding the deeper mechanism that drives fibrin production. Alcohol, even moderate consumption, elevates fibrinogen levels within 24 hours of intake. A single drink raises fibrinogen measurably the following morning. 3 drinks raise it enough to shift you from normal to elevated range in a matter of hours. There is no safe quantity for someone actively trying to reduce fibrin load. Processed carbohydrates. Every blood sugar spike above 140 milligrams per deciliter triggers an acute inflammatory response. That response elevates fibrinogen production within hours. If you are eating bread, pasta, rice, or oatmeal daily, you are producing more fibrin than any enzyme protocol can clear. The enzymes cannot win against a diet that is manufacturing the problem faster than they can dissolve it. Poor sleep. One night under 6 hours raises systemic inflammatory markers, including fibrinogen, by the following morning. This is documented, reproducible, and cumulative. If you sleep poorly 3 nights per week, your fibrinogen baseline is chronically elevated, regardless of every other intervention you make. Here is what you do starting this week. Get your fibrinogen tested. Not your cholesterol, not your LDL, your fibrinogen. Ask your doctor to add it to your next blood panel. If it comes back above 400 milligrams per deciliter, your fibrinolytic system is losing. You now know that, and you know what to do about it. Begin nattokinase at 2000 FU on an empty stomach. Start there. Add serrapeptase at 40,000 SPU in week 2, same timing. Give it 8 weeks before adding lumbrokinase. The protocol works in sequence, not all at once. Remove 1 processed carbohydrate from your daily diet this week. Just 1. The fibrin your body stops producing because of that single change is fibrin your enzymes do not have to dissolve. The plaque inside your arterial walls did not build overnight. It will not dissolve overnight. 12 to 24 months of consistent intervention is what the research shows for measurable regression. But every week you wait is another week of fibrin accumulation. Another week of the scaffold growing stronger, another week closer to the moment the plaque ruptures and your body sends a clot to seal the tear. When was the last time your doctor tested your fibrinogen? If the answer is never, and for most people watching this, that is the answer, drop that in the comments. Because what you don't measure, you cannot stop. And if you think fibrin is the only silent threat building inside your blood vessels right now, the next video will show you the second one and why it may already be more advanced than the fibrin. Click it now, because the clock has been running since before you started watching this.